Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. And if you have ever wondered about what it really takes to run a successful business, then you are going to enjoy today's episode. Braith Bamkin has supported thousands of business people to take their businesses to new heights through his role as BIN Melbourne Central Executive Director, and that's pretty high up. He's a certified practicing marketer who has corporate experience but lives in and loves the small business world. He's also run several of his own businesses as well as done time in corporate. So it's fair to say he knows his stuff. Now, if you want dry and boring, Braith is not your guy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kim, the extraordinary word ninja. We've already been having a laugh off air, haven't we? So this is going to be a fun interview.
So, Braith, this is your first time on the Author to Authority podcast. So, what I would love for you to do is just take some time and share your business story. How did you get into BNI? And then, how did you transition into becoming a certified practicing marketer?
Great questions. Do you want the long or the short version, Kim? I'll give you. I'll give you
the 5 to 7 minute version.
I'll give you the medium version. Look, I started out after I left university. I did a degree in organizational psychology, so I've always been really interested in people and the way they behave. And I was in the first few years in the workforce. I worked in commercial textiles selling to architects and interior designers. And I really learned how to sell. I went overseas with that company. I opened their offices overseas. So that was an extraordinary opportunity. It's a while ago. It was the early 90s. but then I came back. I went and did a master's degree in marketing, and because I was really interested in marketing. I thought there's only so many meters of fabric you can sell in your life. And just through serendipity and chance, I ended up getting a job at Nokia back in the day when it was really cool, before they had the little 3 series phones. And I was there when the little tiny 3 series phones. Some of your younger audience probably don't know what we're talking about, but the very first of the smaller phones that came out in the 90s. And it was exciting. It was fun. And then I moved through various telco companies in Australia, but ended up taking a redundancy and going overseas for 6 months to find myself, as you do. I came back to Australia.
What did you find?
I found that I loved traveling, but I had to pay for it somehow. That was a big discovery. I could do it forever, but there's this little thing called paying off the credit card. But I came back, and again, through chance, I ended up becoming the national sales and marketing manager for a mattress company, and they had franchises, and I ended up buying one of their franchises as well. And through that, I was invited along as a visitor to BNI like 15 to 17 years ago. And for those of your audience members who don't know BNI, it's a professional marketing and networking organization. People go to a weekly meeting. I thought I'd walked into a crazy cult of early morning happy people. I thought, well, this is not for me. Because in those days, I wasn't getting up at 4:30 in the morning, which is what I do now anyway. But, and I ended up joining. I loved it. I made really good friends out of that. I realized that I'd always been networking, and I loved that way of selling through relational selling. I enjoyed people. I had a strong marketing background, and then I ended up buying the Melbourne franchise, and here I am all these years later. And during that period, people have come to me and asked me to coach and mentor them, and also to do public speaking. So I do a lot of public speaking, but I don't do the coaching or mentoring. I decided to create courses online so I could get my knowledge out. So was that the good abridged version? I think I did pretty well. I could have gone on for half an hour on that one.
I know. I have several different versions of my story, including the 2-minute, the 5-minute, the 7-minute, the 10-minute, the 15-minute, and the 20-minute one. So I get it. one of the things that I loved about your story is this, especially at the end there, where you realize that your time was better spent trying to individually coach. You created programs, and I think
Yeah.
that's something that when you're building a business, you have to take into
Mm,
consideration is your time. And if you're
yes.
working one-on-one, which is fine, but you're not charging enough for that one-on-one time,
Yes.
you're not building a business, you're hiring yourself out and you're not really making any money. So I love
Yes.
that you created those programs so that, people can benefit from the coaching. And then if they do want one-on-one time with you, well, that's
I ain't
that's
cheap.
negotiable. That's negotiable.
Well, you bring up a really good point, because I was even worse than that, Kim. I was giving my time away because I'm a boy that can't say no, because I want to help people. And I know a lot of people, and I have a lot of people in my inner circle, and they would ask me to do things, and I would just say yes, and I would not charge for it. And you'll talk about my book later, and that book simply came about because people were asked, they could see I was getting a result, and they were asking me to come and talk about that for free at their workplaces. And I was saying, yes, 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 of course, I'd love to help you. And then I realized I'd created this whole new career that I wasn't getting paid for, and it wasn't even what I wanted. I'm like, no, I have to work out how I can get that information across to people, because I felt it was important without it impacting on my life and my time. And I can say no, but I find it hard, and I'm learning.
I think it's one thing I've learned is that you once you have your priorities straight and set in terms of your business, um, then you can gauge everything through those priorities. And there may be
Yes,
times that you still say yes to someone, right? Because you really
100%.
feel that you should. And I think there
Yeah,
is still an element even in business where you need to give back. You need to pay it
oh,
forward, right?
100%.
But
Yes.
it's the balance. It's the
It
balance in
100
those.
100%. Yesterday I had lunch with a one of our members, and we ended up having a 5-hour lunch, and I would never have been able to do that had I not had the flexibility of my time, and
Yes.
was able to, and thought, this is really worthwhile. I really want to help this person. I really am enjoying this
Mhm.
conversation. But it filled me up, and I thought to myself, if I had not have freed up my time years ago, 'cause I've been free for a long time, I would not have had the opportunity. I would have had to have said, sorry, I've got to go, and I wouldn't have been able to help that person at an individual level. And that fulfilled me. It made me really happy. I know I helped
Mm.
her. It was great. It was amazing. I loved it.
Oh, sorry there. It's
That's
allergy
okay.
season and
Oh,
my
is
throat
it?
gets dry.
I've got my water here too. We got to have our water when we're speaking, haven't we?
The thing is that as a business owner, it is okay to give a percentage of your time back. It,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not it's not about, oh, everything you do has to be paid.
No.
I give my time to this podcast because I
Mm.
want to help people build good, strong businesses.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And I
I was just
occasionally
talking
give
about.
away an hour of my time, if people have questions about writing a book or something like
Yeah.
that, I will do that. But I'm not giving away all of my time for free.
Yeah.
But I'm
And
choosing what time I give away for free.
and you feel good, right? And you feel really
Yeah.
fulfilled, and that helps you serve the other people, because it lifts you up. And that way, when you're lifted up, you're a better version of yourself, and then you can really invest in the money making activities that you want to do. And not
Mhm.
every hero comes as a first responder in business. If you can help other people in business, you're helping families, you're helping
Mm.
communities. So you know, I couldn't be a first responder. My hat goes off to those people. I think it's an amazing job that they do. but it's incumbent upon us as business people to contribute to the world in the way that our skills are designed to help. And I know for me, it's helping people to get their family, business, and communities into the best shape possible. And I think there's a very worthwhile endeavors doing that.
Oh, I so agree. Well, we're going to shift gears here because I want to give you some time, make sure that I give you lots of time to share, because I know you've come prepared today to talk about building a successful business. So I'm going to let you share for a bit, and then I might interrupt you and ask you a few questions.
Sure. Well, I've worked with so many people in BNI in Melbourne over the years, and I kind of cracked the code on what I see are the key ingredients to help people that really successful people have that are common across this success cohort. So I can see that there's some basic things that all successful business owners seem to possess. So I thought it would be really worthwhile sharing that. And this is something I talk about a lot. And it's not earth shattering, but when you realize that there's a commonality over thousands of people, you start to realize, okay, I need to sort of focus on this. So the first thing I know is that people are givers. So we've just talked about that. So if you are not somebody that is going to give of yourself to other people and to help other people, in BNI we talk about givers gain, and the other parts of the world we would talk about law of reciprocity. But if you're not willing to give first, you ain't gonna get nothing back. Full stop. End of story. You will have to work really hard to make up for that. But people who come with a real genuine desire to help other people, and they're real about it, and they give and expect nothing back, always get the most in return. I've seen it time after time. We just talked about that before. And if any of your listeners have done any volunteer work, they would know that, the more you give in your volunteer capacity, the more you seem to get back as a human being. And, it mightn't come back as monetary. It might come back in all sorts of other ways. But that is a very consistent and common theme I see with successful business people. The other thing that I see, and if you can get that part right, and then you can get this part right, I think you're really setting yourself up for success. And that is knowing who you want to do business with and why you want to do business with those people. And so just to take a step back from that, to understand what that really means, is every business, all of our businesses are here to solve a problem. That's the only reason a business exists. You are solving somebody else's problem, right? We all have problems in our life. Your podcast addresses the problem that coaches and authority people who are wanting to use a book to grow their business. So they're solving someone's problem to help other people. That's the problem that they're there to help. So when you know what you're about, and you really are clear on the problem that you're solving and the target market, and the more specific you can get, and this is the key, the better. More specific you can get, the better you will be, because you might have heard this: the riches are in the niches. So the more specific you get, the more money you will generate for yourself, and the easier it is for your business. And if you think about, I'm using my hands. For those who are listening, they can't see it. I've got my sort of hands on a preposition forward direction. It's like the prow of a ship. If you're pushing through the water and it's really sharp, it's really easy to get through that water, right? But if you've got a big, huge barge and you're trying to get everything and you're pushing like that, it's hard to get through the water, because the slipstream is easier when you're focused. And the more specific you are, the easier it is for people to go, yes, Kim can solve my problem because I know she fixes this issue for me. Or Braith can solve this problem because I know his business is going to be able to help that. And I want to give an example, because sometimes people find this hard to get through. So back in my mattress days, in our mattress business, you could easily ask for referrals for people who've got bad backs. Like, who hasn't had a bad back at some point in time? We've all had a bad back, right? Well, everyone over 18's had a bad back at some time. People can't latch onto that because it's a really broad thing. And I go, well, everyone's had one, so they just give up. But if I said to you, I would like to be connected to health professionals in the Bayside area who work with people who have had serious injury, and they're working them through rehab to come back from serious injury, because we know that those people who have had serious injury have sleep problems, and sleep contributes to the success or otherwise of their wellness journey, then that would be a great referral to me. But you can see I'm really specific. I've given an area, a very specific profession, the type of person I want referred to me. But do you think people who have bad backs can work out that we can help them? Of course they can. They go, oh, if you can help people who are really serious post-injury, you could probably help me because I've just got a sore back from doing the gardening, every weekend. So people can work out the extrapolation when you give them the really sharp, clear focus. So business owners get scared. If I'm too specific, then I miss out on everyone. People aren't stupid. They can work out from what you do with your specificity if you could also help them. But the reality is you don't have to serve everyone, because there is enough business for everybody out there. And no matter what problem you are solving, I say to my friends, no matter what you've got for sale, there is somebody who wants to buy your product. You just need to be clear that this is the problem you're solving, and then work out how you connect with them. So they're the two things that I think are really, really crucial to getting any business successful. And then I think you have.
I'm going to stop you there.
Oh, stop me! I'll go forever. Stop me, Kim.
I was thinking about what you said in terms of both the giving and having that niche market. You talked about when you give, you don't always get back monetarily. But I wanted to focus in on that for a minute, because I think sometimes people miss it, because we say, oh, you'll give and you get back, right? But what I think, especially let's not talk about necessarily, life volunteer, that side of it for right now, but let's focus in on the business side of it. When you give in your business, what you don't realize is that, there's times you get back financially, but some of the other things that you get back build your business way more than any money. Well, what I've learned is when I give, a referral will come in from somewhere. I wasn't expecting it, didn't even know about it. And somebody, now I've got clients who refer business to me on a regular, so when they contact me, I'm not surprised. But I've had times where it's been rough, I've been struggling. Do I take my time to give, or do I start hoarding things in? And but it's in my nature to give, so I give even when it hurts. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, a referral will come in. I mean, I've had it twice now, where I had met someone at a network meeting. I had talked to them. They were interested in doing a book. We do all the preliminary stuff, and it just falls apart. It doesn't work out. They didn't have the money. They didn't have the time. Okay, that's fine. Let's keep in touch, that kind of stuff. It was no big deal. Okay. But I've had twice. And both when, it's been those rougher times in business, where I would get a referral out of the blue. And it was just from someone I met at a networking meeting that I talked to once that didn't even do a book with me. So, when you give, it does come back. Sometimes it comes back in connections. Sometimes you need to be connected to a certain person. And because you have been generous and you give, right? When you need that connection, people are like, oh, yeah, I will help you. Right? Because you give.
Because you're putting it out there, right?
Yeah.
When you put that energy out in the world, people feel it.
Yeah. And the other part with niching down, the one thing I've here is how I explained the concept that you just said. If you don't niche down, you may have to talk to 100 people to find one person who's going to want what you're offering. Right? I don't know about you, but as a solopreneur, small business owner, I don't have time to talk to 100 people. I've got so much on my plate.
Right.
But if, let's say you really target it down, now maybe you might only have to talk to 5 or 10 people.
Mm-hmm. And out of those
Imagine
5 or 10 people, you're going to convert more of those people.
yeah, like you'd probably convert 1 or 2. And when you get really
Mm-hmm.
good at it, you may convert 3 or 4.
Exactly.
So you're spending less time when you're targeted and you're getting more results.
Mm. You've absolutely nailed the concept 100%. And I think that's great clarification, because I think that people don't often realize that's the playthrough. So that's the end result of getting that specific, is that things get easier for you because people can connect with you. And I love the thing that you said before about, you've put the energy out there, you've really worked hard at helping other people, even though when you were, in a tough situation yourself. But I will say this about that: no matter how much you give of yourself, you always feel good. It feels good to give people. But I say to people who are feeling down or depressed, or, when things aren't going well in their business, go and do something nice for someone else, because it'll just make you feel good. And, that's a nice thing, right?
The other thing I've learned with that is sometimes when you do that and you see the situation that other people are in,
Yeah,
all of a sudden you start to realize that your situation isn't all that bad.
correct.
Had
Yeah.
that one happen many times. I'm like, God, I'm not enjoying life. This is going on and that is going
Mhm.
on. And then, God looks at me and says, okay, I want you to help this person over here who hasn't eaten today.
Yeah, right. So there's always somebody who
And I'm
has
like,
got
I'm like,
it work.
okay, Lord, I think I get what you're trying to tell me. And I had 3 meals today. So I'm just going to shut my mouth now.
I know. Because we can throw ourselves pity parties all day long, but then you can walk out. I don't know what it's like in Canada, but you walk into the streets in Melbourne and you see street people and you go, right, so I ain't having it that bad because I'm sleeping in the bed tonight. And that's pretty good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You had some more to share with us.
Well, the addendum to that was, I think it's really important that you get very clear about your own business. And I think the
Mhm.
the the precursor to doing the specificity stuff is knowing where you stand. And I think the 3 things that I would really encourage everyone to do is get clear on their business vision. So where is it that you want to take your business? So what is it that you want to achieve? And then your mission, and that's how you're going to achieve it. But I think the really, really important stuff is, what are your values? Because if you know
Mhm.
your values as a person and as a business, then you can make decisions all day long that are really easy. I think people who find decision making difficult are because they don't have the vision of their business clear, and they're not sure what their values are. Because if you've got that clear, when a decision
Oh
comes your
yeah.
way, there you can align it. It's either aligned to where you're going or it's not. Yes or no. And that makes decision making really easy. And then it makes, do I do this activity that come my way or not? Because is it going to serve my target market, or is it not? Is it going to align with my values? And at the moment, the hottest trend in marketing is personalization. So we've got technology that enables us to personalize our marketing communications through the digital world, and even outside of the digital world now, there's a lot more personalization. But your target market isn't going to come along for the ride with you or your business if they don't feel that your values and your vision aligns with them. And it's
Yeah.
totally okay if you don't, because they'll be served by somebody else. But there are a lot of people I know, for every single person listening to this podcast, that has an audience out there that is so aligned to their values and their vision, and they want to come along for the journey with you. And you know what that makes them? That makes them really sticky, because they stay with you a lot longer and they spend more money because they feel that you're on the journey together and they can buy into that. Now, Apple has been doing that really well for a long time. That's an easy example to use because, for those of us who have been around since the 80s, we'll remember all of those ads that they had in the 80s. For the younger people, but you can see it in their advertising. It's very clear.
Yeah.
They know who's coming on the journey with them, and then they speak directly to those people. of course, other people buy their products. You know, I'm an Apple user. I like to think I'm really cool and you know, in the know, but I'm probably not. But I love it because it speaks to me. Their products speak to me, but I come for that journey. And I've been a really big Apple consumer for a very long time. Since I left Nokia, I've been 100% Apple.
Mhm.
So but you can do that in a small business.
Yes.
In a small business, if you do that, even if you're a solopreneur, if you're really clear about what you stand for and you put it out there, all your branding will then align. You know, in the old days, we used to talk about your brand guidelines, which was your logos and your colors and all of that. But now it's brand voice. You know, people want to have
Yeah.
a brand voice. So, you know, I don't know about all of your audience, but I mean, I have a team of assistants that help me. They know the language that I use. This is how you respond to emails because this is the way I speak. I'm a business person, but I'm business casual. So you rarely see me wearing a suit. You know, very, very formal occasions I will, but you know, I generally wear a black polo shirt and jeans and RM Williams boots because that's the brand voice I want to share. I want to be approachable. You know, I have that thing going on. And you look at my website, you'll see that my colors are very aligned. You'll see that the language I use is very aligned. You'll see that font is aligned to my open and friendly nature. I hope I'm open and friendly. So if you align all of that stuff up, it's layer upon layer upon layer, and people go, yes, I relate to that person. But you know, there are people that will not like my style. They go, he never wears a suit, he's not serious enough, you know, he's not my guy. And you know, that's totally okay, because I've got a
It
whole
is.
bunch of people that think I'm fabulous, and I am fabulous.
So you know, you're talking about the young people, and it just triggered a weird thought in my brain. So if you want a really good laugh, okay,
Yeah,
go on YouTube and
yeah.
search out teenagers trying to use a rotary phone.
Oh wow, that's something I can imagine to be fun. Are they trying to
They
press
have
buttons?
no, the one.
Yeah, but are the kids trying to press the buttons or something?
Oh, just Google the videos. It's hilarious,
I
especially the
can't
ones
wait.
where you had to put your finger in and go. They can't figure out how to use those phones. It's
I
hilarious.
love it. I
Uh,
love it. I love it.
so anyway, we're gonna switch gears again. These are the crazy thoughts I have when I'm interviewing people.
I love it.
I want to talk about your book, Braith. So your book is
Yeah.
Breathe Easy: Simple Ways to Stay Well Connected. So the first question is, and there'll be a few, what is the book about?
So years ago, I was not doing so well in my business. I had a business partner, and we were not aligned, and I got stressed and very unwell, and I ended up getting a Bell's palsy, which is a facial paralysis. You know, when you're stressed and you're not doing well, your body reacts, right? So something's going to break. It always happens. Like, I'm sure your audience has had that before. So it was bad. No, it's, you know, stressed. And one of the ways to get out of Bell's palsy, apart from all the medicines that I got, was the therapy with laughter yoga. And I'd never heard of it before. Have you heard of laughter yoga?
No.
Oh, it is amazing. You've got to Google it. It's so much fun. So it's laughter for no reason at all. You're not laughing at jokes, but it's a way of bringing laughter into your life. There's a whole process around it. I loved it so much. I went out and became a laughter yoga instructor. Believe it or not, I don't know, but people laugh at that. But there's a 5-day course to learn how to be a laughter yoga instructor. It's serious business, right? But you know, it's serious business making people laugh, because you know, it was amazing and I loved it. And laughter is really the gateway to breath work. And you know, breath work has been in the zeitgeist for the last 10 years. And you know, I became a qualified breath coach, and I didn't do that for other people. I did that for me, because once I got into it, I really wanted to learn more about it. And so I got very qualified, and I spent a lot of time doing that. But people could see the difference, right? They were going, wow, your business is doing really well. You seem really happy. You know, your Bell's palsy's gone. All of that and people were saying it all the time, can you help me? And I'm a boy that can't say no. And I was saying yes, yes, yes all the time. And then it just became very obvious to me that I was going to give so much of my life doing this that it was going to become a full-time job. And I just simply didn't have the time to be able to commit to that. So I decided to write a book. And the reason that I wrote it is because I'm a 57-year-old white middle-aged man living in a big city in Australia. We're not exactly the hottest ticket in town these days, but but I have a particular presence about me. So people who would look at me would not say I'd be a laughter yoga instructor or a breath coach, because they usually associate that with a different look or feel. But because I'm a business person and people know me as a business person, they could see that it was bringing value into my life. So in the context of business people getting some space in their life and taking control of their mind, and the way they react to stuff going on in their life and their business, I felt I would write this book to make it really simple for business people and professional people to use the tools to enhance their life. So that when people said to me, hey, Braith, can you come and teach me on, the breathwork stuff or the laughter yoga stuff? I'm going, how about you read my book? And that is why I did it. And it means that I now no longer go and help people one-on-one. I don't go to offices to do this anymore. I give them my book. And on the odd occasion when people really want me to do it in their business, I can charge for it because I've got the authority, because I have the book and there's information in there. And as you would know, as soon as you've written the book, you have a level of gravitas in yourself. And so, oh, he's serious, like he knows his stuff, and we better get him in because he's an authority on that area. So that's something that's kind of happened just by accident. But I just knew I had to get that information out there written by a business person, using language that wasn't going to make business people or professional people feel uncomfortable, because a lot of the breath work, laughter yoga world can kind of be on the crystal and tie-dyed stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people don't relate to that because, as we said before, when you're specific about your target market, those people will connect with you. So the business people look at me and they go, well, if he can do it, I can do it, right? So that's kind of how they feel. But, and there's nothing wrong with anybody else doing it who has any look or feel, because they will have their tribe and those people will follow them. And then we're all better off, right?
Oh, so we've got about 2 to 3 minutes left. So I've got to ask you the question that I ask every single author that comes on the show. So you'll have a short time to answer, and then we've got to close off. But I can't not ask the question. So what was the good, the bad, and the ugly about writing and publishing that book?
Well, the good was that I really felt that I was giving information to the world that was going to be helpful. That really was what I had in my heart and in my head as I was writing it. The bad is sitting down and writing it. That can be really challenging. And I wrote it during our first lockdown in Australia, right at the beginning of 2020. I'd started writing it in 2019, but then the whole thing happened. And as COVID came, I went, right, well, I have no excuse now. That's the bad. And you know what the real ugly was? Is letting my baby go out into the world, because I felt I would be judged. That was the ugly part. And then but I got over that fast.
It's funny. Everybody else's business crashed. Mine exploded because now nobody had the time excuse anymore.
I know, right?
Everybody had the time. So, not that I have a telephone in my house, but, the phone was kind of ringing off the hook. It's like, Kim, we were talking about doing a book. And I mean, I was getting that all the time. 2019 was not a good business year for me. I came out of it wondering if my business was going to survive. Was working through the 90-day, marketing, selling cycle to get things moving again. The pandemic hit and my business went nuts.
Oh, wow.
Completely, totally nuts. And it was so funny, but I could still relate to everyone because 2019 had not been a good year. And everybody else was successful and their businesses were thriving, and I'm struggling all over the place and, wondering, am I going to be able to keep my doors open? And and then the reverse, everyone else was struggling, and so I was able, not only did my business thrive, but I was already able to speak to people who were struggling and say,
Yeah.
I was just there, right? And here are some of the things that you can do. So we have about a minute or so left, Braith. So what I would love for you to do is, if people have really enjoyed this episode and they want to connect with you, what's the best way to do it? And one very quick final thought.
Yeah. Okay. So jump onto my website, braithbamkin.com. There's a bunch of free, most of the stuff I do on that website is free because I have a lot of stuff I want to share with people. So there's a really good course called a free mini course, 3-step mini course on how to get your business referral ready. Now, even if you're not looking for referrals and you're looking to get marketing, traditional marketing, that's a really good, it'll take you about an hour, but it'll get you really clear on how you communicate to people what you're about. So that will really help you. There's a whole lot of free guides on there. There's a lot of stuff on there. My final thought is, business people who don't spend time taking time out, really thinking about who they want to do business with and why and what they stand for, are always going to be looking for the next big thing. And as a business person, I know I used to jump from one idea to the next idea to the next idea. Successful business owners do one thing 1,000 times, not 1,000 things one time. And I've seen it over and over again. So spend some time really getting clear on what you're about and who you're connecting with. And I promise that your business will be wildly successful because you will attract the tribe that want to hang and play with you.
Oh, that's a wonderful last thought. Thank you so much, Braith. This has been Braith Bamkin and Kim Thompson Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the very next episode. Bye now.